Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming into another video. Okay, I'm starting to think about what the framework would be for this rumor that I just heard that's starting to pick up some steam, which I think is kind of weird. But as I've figured it out what the numbers are, I can kind of make some sense of what may be going on behind the scenes. Um, but I'm just a speculating person who's just trying to put two and two together. So what I'm seeing here is Dennis Schroeder only has pretty much one place he can actually go. Okay, and that's basically the Boston Celtics. The other would be the Thunder, but the Thunder have no incentive to bring him back there on their $5 million, 5 million exception or whatever. So they're not gonna. The Thunder are probably not going to bring him in, but the Boston Celtics may be inclined to do so. Now, here's the thing: the Lakers want to do a sign and trade, and they would like to bring back something substantial. The Lakers are significantly horrible on the defensive end in a lot of areas, with the exception of Anthony Davis. So ideally, whatever the Lakers bring back, they would like for it to be a defensive piece. Marcus Smart is the name that has come up in the rumors, and you may have heard me say, if you listened to one of my previous videos today, I kind of poo-pooed that because that didn't seem reasonable to me. First of all, Marcus Smart just signed a contract for 4 years, $51 million. So the last thing he's really looking to do is move on from locking up with his home team, the team he's been with since he was drafted. The thing about it is, if you're the Boston Celtics, you look at your roster, you look at what just happened in free agency, and you realize you didn't do anything to get better, and Marcus Smart is your starting point guard. You were hoping that maybe you would be able to do some things that maybe just didn't happen, or you had your eye on a move in trade that is yet to take place. Maybe you're thinking about a guy like, I don't know, Damian Lillard or something. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, okay, well, if I don't really like Marcus Smart as my starting point guard, he's not going to make us good enough anyway, and I'm paying him $51 million. I want to move on from that contract in theory. Maybe I do. Maybe I regret taking that contract. Maybe I have different ideas about what this team is going to be going forward. Because the fact that the Boston Celtics didn't make really any big moves in free agency made me feel like they felt that they didn't have either the flexibility that they needed, or they didn't want to go after it like that this year or something. They were a little more hesitant than I was expecting them to be. And it hinted at the idea that maybe they wanted to be trade partners in something that had nothing to do with free agency. And I know Dame Lillard's looking to get the hell out of there. And even though his Celtics haven't come up, they should. They should come up, because if you team Dame Lillard with Jason Tatum, because you'll probably have to give up Jaylen Brown if you do a trade like this, you can put yourself in a position to at least be good enough to be at the top of that Eastern, shuffle of good teams right now. I don't know if he puts you over the top to beat the Nets, but he does put you in a position to be up there with the Chicago Bulls, and that's a good place to be. A lot better than being in Portland right now, I'll tell you that. So, in my mind, the Boston Celtics are a championship-winning organization, a place that Dame could apply his loyalty and not feel bad about. He could stay there for a million years and feel great about it. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of place that he could probably get paid going forward, because if they are going to get rid of Jaylen Brown, they already paid Jason Tatum, they would definitely be willing to pay Dame Lillard. So, yeah, I'm looking at that kind of just getting ahead of things, even though I haven't heard any speculation. Stuff like this just seems to make sense to me. So if I'm them and I'm thinking that way, I would love to get out from under Marcus Smart's contract, especially with this very unique situation where this very, very decent to good all-star has gotten his value plummeted to the floor for no physical reason. This is a unique situation. And I seem to be the only place he can go. But I'm pretty happy with my roster. I mean, we're about to run it out. But we don't really have a point guard. We're going to run with Marcus Smart. We can get away with it. Or we'll play Kevin Pritchard, because he's a nice young talent behind me. So, but we're not going to get away with that. That's not going to get us above where we need to be above in the Eastern Conference. We're not above the Chicagos. We're not up there this year. Will we be up there next year? I don't know. Those teams are going to continue to get better. No, not unless we make a real splash. We're just kind of capped out where we are, but we got a bunch of picks. So if we couple those picks and maybe Jaylen Brown, we can get any superstar in the world. So, what do? How do you put yourself in a position to get Dame? Dame is getting frustrated because Portland's over there doing dumb stuff. We can get him out of there right now. but we need to create some cap space. Let's get out from under Marcus Smart. We can take Dennis Schroeder, lowball him to hell, pay him only a fraction of what Marcus Smart is making. Still have the production of a good point guard that we can run that's going to give us the offense that we had, similar to what we had in that dynamic with Kemba Walker, younger though, on the cheap. See what I'm saying? The Lakers can take that Marcus Smart contract. Now that contract is crazy, but we would have to create some space for which we would be able to do somehow to pay luxury tax out the yang. But what you can do is look at his contract, Marcus Smart's contract, and understand that it's a 4-year deal at $50-something million, meaning it's easily movable. He's a defensive player, a very good guard with a big body. You don't have to keep him past this year. You pay him his $12 million this year, and you can move that contract as soon as even trade deadline this year if you want to move it. It should be possible. Or he can be a player that comes off the bench for Russell Westbrook that kind of has the same deficiencies as Russell Westbrook and the same strengths in theory, but much better defensively. Much better defensively. And streaky from behind the arc. I've seen him hit threes behind the arc. You know, he's not completely deficient. But most importantly, he gives you a defensive presence down there that's going to lock people up. You can put him on bigger players, smaller players. Marcus Smart's one of the best defenders in all of basketball. And he's one of the more intense players with high motor, just like Westbrook. Big body, athletic. He can do a lot of things for you, and he's not selfish. He can pass the rock. He gets assists, just like Westbrook. So when you sit Westbrook and you put this guy in, you pretty much have the same dynamic. Makes a lot of sense. The only thing that doesn't really make sense is trying to take on such a contract. But again, $12 million a year. You can create space for that. You'll find a way to create space for that. Makes sense for everybody. It literally makes sense for everybody. So you tell me, what do you think? You think Marcus Smart is worth paying the luxury tax for? Because it's going to cost. In my opinion, of course. Of course, we're trying to play for a championship and we suck defensively. Yes, we need Marcus Smart. It's common sense. We were going to bring in Dennis Schroeder. You think we can't fit in Marcus Smart? Hell yeah, we can. Yes, we can. Because if we have to bring back Dennis Schroeder right now, if we can't find nobody to get rid of him, we will incorporate him in here. It'll just cut into the minutes from Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn. It'll cut into those guys' minutes, but we will play Dennis Schroeder. So why not play Marcus Smart? Are there other things that we can do? Sure, I think so. That's what I'm saying, though. If you bring in a piece like Marcus Smart, it's tradable. Then you can go out and get everything you need with his piece, or keep him and get rid of the value some other way. But makes sense. Guy like Marcus Smart may be able to get you a first-round pick or something. There's a lot of things you can do with a player that talented on a $50 million contract for 4 years. That's movable. I'm telling you, $12 million a year for Marcus Smart, he's going to outplay that. As long as he's healthy, he's going to outplay that. Kuzma's making 40. Think about it. All I'm saying is this. If this is possible, even though it didn't seem possible, it makes sense if Boston wants to make a big move. But if they do, or just want to create cap space flexibility more so than what they have. That's the only reason why this makes sense, because you don't get rid of a player like Marcus Smart, of whom you locked up and you've had this long. You drafted him. It really don't make sense to get rid of him unless you just need to create cap space. So we'll see, man. I don't know if I believe the rumor or not. But as you can see, I went down the rabbit hole and I found something. My name is BDL44. I'm out.